And it's so nice after a tough day at the office to be able to celebrate this wonderful experience in Gala with you. And I don't know about you, but in my kind of day, I have just about had it with irresponsible behavior, poor decision making, blaming others, overwhelming need to be the center of attention, no realistic plans for the future, but enough about the presidential race. Tonight we are celebrating this, again, the 8th annual Reaud Excellence in Education Awards Gala. And it's a wonderful time to say thank you to all the educators who help and show our gratitude to them for their efforts, because education of children is such an important, vital aspect in our life. Here we are on the 8th floor of this magnificent John Gray Library here at the great Lamar University, named after the second president of the Republic of Texas, the father of education. And his great quote that is often spoken of: "The cultivated mind is the guardian genius of democracy. It is the only dictator that free man acknowledges, and it is the only security that free men desire." Reaud Lamar and the legacy that he leaves. You probably know that Reaud Lamar started out in Columbus, Georgia, came to fight for the independence of Texas. One day was a private at the Battle of San Jacinto. The next day, because of heroic action in saving Secretary of State Rusk from being captured, he was named the colonel and head of the cavalry. The next day in the Battle of San Jacinto, you know your history, the Texans win the battle, win the war. He becomes Secretary of War in 2 weeks, then Vice President and President. No one had such a meteoric rise than Reaud Lamar in the history of the United States. So we celebrate, being proud of what he stands for in his leadership of education, and his courage and just leadership of heroic acts that we are going to celebrate and talk about tonight. This evening, we, the Beaumont Foundation, are honoring 15 teachers, and this is the 8th group of recipients of this prestigious Reaud Excellence in Education Award. Each teacher honored tonight is an exceptionally dedicated educator who has been an inspiration to the children of Southeast Texas. And I've looked this up. There is no greater award in the United States given by an entity to teachers than what is going to be given tonight to these 15 teachers. Thank you very much, Mr. Reaud. Thank you. And all the leaders of the Reaud Foundation. Now, they took the flags away for some reason, but that's okay. We don't have the flag corps here, but I want you all to stand. Please, take a moment as we honor the United States of America. Together, I ask us all to sing the great song written by the Jewish immigrant Irving Berlin, "God Bless America." Okay? Together.
America, land that I love, stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America,
I will ask the Most Reverend Rick White to lead us in the invocation. The Reverend is the senior pastor at the Christian Fellowship Worship Center in Beaumont. Pastor White.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, sir.
The Apostle Paul records that when Christ ascended to heaven, he left gifts in this world. Not gifts wrapped up in a box with bows, but people with a certain skill set. And in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 11, he records that one of those gifts was teachers. And we are in the room filled with gifts from God tonight. Would you bow with me, please? Father, what a privilege it is to be here to honor these individuals who are driven toward excellence in educating our children at every grade level. We thank you for their work, and we ask your blessings upon them and their schools. We thank you for those who give the time to honor them tonight, and we pray that all we say and do tonight will glorify you. And all the family said, amen.
Amen. Please be seated. And we hope you enjoy this wonderful dinner that we always get to enjoy here at the Reaud Excellence in Education Awards. And we're going to be entertained by the wonderful piano music of Kay Miller Horn, a lady who has published 2 CDs now and sings like Diana Krall. She is probably better than Diana Krall, who's married to Elvis Costello. And Kay, begin that wonderful music, and everyone please enjoy. We have a wonderful celebration for you tonight. Thank you for being here. Educators, you gotta love them, right? I'm married to one. Marcia, who was supervisor for BISD for a long time, then directed the Southeast Texas Nonprofit Development Center, and is now the superintendent at the Beaumont Diocese schools. And it's tough getting back into schoolwork for a husband after she had retired and then go back. Just last year, I was in timeout like 4 times myself. But educators are great. I know so many of you are married to educators, and they have a way of making you feel good about things. My wife, when we have a disagreement, this is the way an educator handles it. John, I'd agree with you, but then we'd both be wrong. I remember not long ago, it was just a hard day, and I came in, and she goes, "Are you all right?" I said, sometimes I think everybody hates me. She said, "Don't be silly. Everybody hadn't had a chance to meet you." I mean, it's the way they say things. And God bless her. 2 great daughters, Kara and Allison, and 2 of the greatest grandchildren, 2 little grandboys. And it's great, grandparents and grandchildren have that special bond. You know why, don't you? We've got a common enemy. Yeah. That's the word. Yep. Yeah, I think kids, being a parent growing up, you learn a lot of the things about life that you don't read in a book. Like, for instance, as a parent, I've come to know that insanity is hereditary. You get it from your children. There's no doubt about it. Who has kids? Everybody's got them, and you deal with them and educate them. I'm the criminal district court judge, and I handle the worst cases, the felony cases. I'll tell you what the trinity of trouble is. Most of the young people in my courtroom have not finished high school. 3 were sentenced on Monday, 15-year terms for robberies, shot somebody in the face in a drug deal. The most educated of the bunch that didn't get past 10th grade. Then, when you don't complete high school, what do? Well, drug trafficking seems to be the major source of income. And then you get a weapon. And there you are in my courtroom. I always say to people, getting an education can be very expensive. See what it costs for being ignorant. Ignorance costs a lot more. And We are celebrating educators. And Pastor, Reverend, it's biblical, isn't it? I was told by my predecessor when I asked him, where is the book, Judge Carver, that we use as a judge? He goes, there is no book. You make it up as you go along. He said, but what I do is this. Charles Carver said this, and I follow this. He said, before I go out, I say a quick prayer for the wisdom of Solomon. It is biblical, isn't it? Solomon was given the opportunity for anything. All the riches in the world were before him because he was in God's favor. And what did he choose? Wisdom. Here we are. It's biblical, isn't it? And it pays off. Wisdom means better choice making versus poor choice making. And let me just tell you, educators, something I like to tell you. I'm not going to dictate to you. You have your work cut out for you because you've got to compete with the entertainment industry. There's a YouTube out there, and you've probably seen it, and I'm not going to talk about it, but it is demoralizing, where a major university's media department interviewed 10 students and asked them 5 questions. The first 3, who won the Civil War? Who is our vice president? And from whom did we gain our independence from as in America? None of them got those answers, and they're in college. But they did answer quickly who Brad Pitt was married to and who plays on Jersey Shore. And these are smart kids, but their focus is the entertainment world, right? So you have them for a precious small amount of time to try to distance themselves from the lack of wisdom they're getting from education. It's from the lack of wisdom they're getting from entertainment and television and movies and some music. My father was a pioneer of television when Channel 4 started. My father, some of you remember Cowboy John and Black Bart, and my dad was Black Bart, John Stevens, and John Gordon was Cowboy John. I grew up at Channel 4 because my dad went in 1957 to open that station because they hired radio people. My father was in radio, and there wasn't anybody to get with experience in television because television was brand new. There was KFDM, Channel 6, and then the CBS affiliate. Then NBC granted an affiliate. And you know who it was granted to? Port Arthur College. Madison Monroe, Sam Monroe's father. It was granted to the college because the FCC intended television to be educational. Not entertainment, but educational. Boy, how things have changed, huh? So your work is cut out for you. But the goal is a golden one. And the education of children, the opening of their minds and their success in life, I know makes you very proud to be educators. I do want to acknowledge some very important people here tonight who, first of all, represent the Beaumont Foundation Board of Directors. The fine chairman, my good friend, Mr. Wayne Reaud. Also, Mr. Buddy Lowe and Mr. John Huntsman are also directors. Between them, those 3, almost $1.5 billion has been awarded generously to education, medical field, and other philanthropic goals to make a quality of life in America better. And I thank you very much, Mr. Reaud. Now, we heard from, we also heard from Reverend Rick White, our senior pastor of Christian Fellowship Worship Center here. And we have some other guests here tonight, and I know I'm going to do a bad thing and miss somebody, but please forgive me, because it always happens. There are some judges here. That's why the hair was crawling up on the back of my neck. I know there was Judge Gerald Edens, County Court at Law, Judge Corey Crenshaw, Judge Kent Walston, and our District Attorney Bob Wortham. And it's really neat for those judges and the District Attorney to get together. You ought to hear some of the discussions that they had during their meal. I was able to overhear them, and they were in deep debate on that very important issue. Why did they call it the Miss Universe pageant if everybody is from Earth? These are the guys who run our county. These are our county leaders. And of course, there's Reverend J.D. Roberts from Antioch Baptist Church, Reverend. And we are very proud to have our President and First Lady, President Kenneth Evans and his lovely wife Nancy Evans here tonight. And our Provost, Dr. James Marquardt. And representing Region 5 tonight, Miss Mary Ann Kondo. Is Mary Ann here? I think I saw her. Here she is. Hi, Mary. Tell Danny we miss him. Okay. Hope he got a birdie on that last hole. No, just kidding. Just kidding. He is, Region 5 does wonderful things, and Danny's a great leader. We want to thank and recognize the principals, superintendents, and other administrators of our honorees tonight. And their names are listed in your handy program right here. So please take a minute to look at the back of the program. And I want the principals, superintendents, and other administrators of tonight's honorees to please stand so we can recognize you. Thank you. Congratulations. We are also honored to have some of our former recipients of the Reaud Excellence in Education Awards with us tonight. And I ask you who are here, please stand and we will recognize you. Isn't that wonderful? Look at the beautiful awards here tonight. And there's a small cash award that comes with this. It's like winning the lottery. People were asking me, John, how are you set financially? I said, I'm set for life if I can die before 10 p.m. tonight. I'm sure you saw some of the outstanding portraits of our honorees over to my left. One is represented for each honoree. 15 beautiful pictures. We want to thank Brandon Gauthier for his outstanding work. Brandon Gauthier, the Da Vinci of photography. He can also take your picture too afterwards, and also you can make arrangements with him. Now, we have a couple of special folks who are about to speak. I'm going to introduce Frank Newton in just a moment, but he is going to in turn introduce our guest speaker, Mr. Keith Giblet, Judge Giblet, Father Giblet. That's right. United States Magistrate Judge and an ordained Episcopal priest. I think that covers it all. Really. I know Frank is going to speak and introduce Keith, and who is my friend. I'm happy to know him, and I know a lot about Keith because I worked with him at the U.S. Attorney's Office, and Bob Wortham, who was my boss, U.S. Attorney, and I had a chance to get Keith to work for us, and we were lucky. The Eastern District was lucky. And Keith later became United States Magistrate Judge. My son-in-law is also a United States Magistrate Judge, and Keith is the senior judge there. I knew Keith before I met him because I was a basketball official for a long time, which, by the way, helped me become a district judge. And some of the basketball officials worked at Goodyear. And they said, you know, we know this guy who's a young lawyer, and he might be a good basketball official, but he used to work here at Goodyear, and now he's in law school. I said, who's that? And they said, well, it was Keith Giblin. I said, oh, I know Keith. He's a fine young lawyer. And they said, here's what was neat. He worked at Goodyear, had a family, and during the breaks, they said we would play cards or other things, and Keith was reading physics books. He's a physics major here at Lamar University. His undergraduate is a Bachelor of Science in Physics. And he is the man who knows just as much as everyone that success is found before work only in the dictionary. We used to talk about it because people used to say when Keith and I would work together, we won. Heck, I lost one trial in 20 years, and Keith may not have lost one. And they used to say, you guys are so lucky as prosecutors, federal prosecutors. And Keith had a saying, you know, you can be lucky too. You know where lucky is? It's found in the library at 2 a.m. when you're sleeping. That's where we're looking for it, and we find it. And then he became now an ordained Episcopal priest, and he is saving souls as well. And one of his fondest sayings, of course, is you give a person a fish and he can eat for a day. You teach him how to fish, he'll sit in the boat all day and get drunk. Actually, you know what this story is. You teach somebody how to fish, and they will make a life. Frank Newton is, I'm going to ask Frank to come up here. Frank is the President and Chief Executive Officer. Has served as Dean and Professor at Law at Texas Tech University, now President of the Reaud Foundation. And here's what's special. Named by Texas Lawyer magazine as one of the 100 most influential Texas lawyers of the century. And the State Bar annually presents an award in his name to a lawyer who provides outstanding pro bono work. And God bless him, what a funny guy. I love him. I was talking to him and he makes me laugh, Frank. He goes, you know, John, I'm getting older and some of the physical attributes I'm beginning to lose, but thank God I'm mentally there. Knock on wood. Come in. Frank Newton. Frank, my good friend Frank Newton, President of the Reaud Foundation.
Thank you, Judge. Tonight we celebrate the 8th Annual Reaud Excellence in Education Awards. I am honored to offer a brief overview of these awards and to introduce our speakers. Our chairman, Wayne Reaud, tasked the staff of the Beaumont Foundation with crafting the Premier Teacher Award in our state and nation because Chairman Reaud is himself a product of local schools. And he remembers fondly those teachers who inspired and guided him at crucial times in his development. He asked that the awards recognize teachers who educate the whole student, providing growth in mental power and strength of character. Recipients must excel in instruction in science or math or literature or history and the arts, but also excel in instilling the transcendent and unchanging moral character which occupies a central place in a balanced education. A student's most important window on the world outside of the family is a teacher. Selecting these exceptional teachers started by outlining the appropriate criteria and then focusing on process. Each participating school selected a nominating committee composed of teachers and students. Each school committee reviewed all nominations and selected one nominee per school. School nominees were then considered for selection from one of 5 geographic regions encompassing Jefferson, Orange, Hardin, Tyler, Jasper, and Newton counties. We're delighted to recognize 15 teachers from the areas of elementary, middle, and high school. Each recipient receives formal portraits, a crystal obelisk, and a $10,000 cash award. Our speaker tonight for the Reaud Excellence in Education Gala is the Honorable Keith Giblin. He is the quintessential man of all seasons. He is a United States magistrate judge presiding over criminal and civil cases, including a large number of intellectual property cases. He has been a panelist and a presenter during numerous legal seminars and has spoken on topics including federal practice, criminal law, and patent litigation. He also serves as an 8th grade religion teacher at All Saints Episcopal School and an Episcopal priest in Orange, Texas, with his own congregation. Before becoming a United States magistrate judge, he served as attorney in charge of the Beaumont Division of the United States Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of Texas. He was assigned to the Organized Drug Enforcement Task Force, where he supervised criminal investigations conducted by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Drug Enforcement Administration, and other federal agencies. Judge Giblin received his Bachelor of Science in Physics from Lamar University, his Doctor of Jurisprudence from South Texas College of Law, and while on the bench, attended the University of Houston's Law Center, obtaining an LLM in intellectual property law. Judge Giblin is married to his wife, Joyce, for 35 years, and they have 4 sons. Help me welcome tonight's speaker, Judge Keith Giblin.
Frank, thank you. Johnny, thank you for that kind introduction. And I want to thank Mr. Reaud and the rest of the Beaumont Foundation for the incredible work that they do here in our community. And I want to thank them for giving me the opportunity to speak to this group of very special people that I truly admire. Because you see, teachers hold a place in my heart. Looking back, you've heard about a little bit about my career. I've had such a wonderful and exciting career, being an assistant U.S. attorney, working on big drug cases and big violent crime cases. I've investigated and prosecuted members of the Crips and Bloods and seized assets and property. I've prosecuted members of the Gulf and Cali cartel. On a daily basis in court, I see the worst of the worst, gang members of the Mexican Mafia, the Texas Syndicate, the Crips, the Bloods, the Latin Kings, members of the Aryan Brotherhood with swastika tattoos on their neck and forehead, who stabbed her to the inmates to death in the Beaumont prison. And so my friends, when we sit down at night over a cup of coffee, they ask me, are you ever scared? Are you ever worried? Are you ever concerned for your life? Are you concerned for your safety? And I shrug my shoulders and I just shake my head because, buddy, I teach 8th graders and nothing scares me. You hear me? You teach 8th graders, you're fearless. I'm never going to school anymore. I quit. I'm finished. Those words spewed out of my mouth one December afternoon in 1977. See, I grew up in a house on Concord Road in the north end of Beaumont to working class parents, and my home wasn't much bigger than this area right here. Mom and Daddy were good, hard-working people. I had the best parents that a boy could ever have, but they never, ever had the opportunity to go to college. We were working people, and we were damn proud of it. My sisters and I were expected to graduate from high school, get a job, pull our own weight, and that's what we did. I got a job at the Goodyear Chemical Plant. It was a man's job out on Interstate 10. I worked hard. I became the youngest operator, chemical process operator in Goodyear's history. If you look, there's a picture of me in the company paper, me in my Nomex coveralls and hard hat and walkie-talkie on my belt, and I was about 100 pounds lighter. It was a good job, and I was proud of it. Well, Goodyear had a tuition reimbursement program. If you went to college while working shift work, you could bring them their grades and what they do. If they were high enough, Goodyear would reimburse you your tuition money. See, I dreamed about being a chemical engineer. I applied, I was accepted to Lamar University. And I enrolled in my first class, Engineering Chemistry 148. I was the first person in my family ever to go to college. I remember how proud my mama and daddy were. They called all their friends and bragged about it over the telephone. I took to school, let me tell you something, like a fish out of water. The class was taught by Dr. Roger Yerrick, who was the dean of the College of Chemistry. I was in awe of him, but I didn't know him at all. I was just another face in a class of 75 or 80. I made A's on my first 2 chemistry tests. The third test was coming up, and I knew that I'd be working midnights at the plant on the graveyard shift the night before, so I studied real hard for making up for being tired. At 7 a.m. that next morning, I'm at my job station ready for my relief to come relieve me so I can haul it to Lamar and make this 8 o'clock test. But my relief didn't show up. He called in sick. So I was forced to stay over and work the day shift, and I missed the test. The next class, I explained to Dr. Yerrick what had happened. He didn't really understand how I could be forced to work overtime, but he told me, it's okay. There's no need to take a makeup exam. He discounted my final exam twice. A month later, before that big final exam, I was again working on the graveyard shift, and at 7 o'clock that morning, you guessed it, I'm waiting at my job station for my relief to show up at work. Once again, he didn't. Once again, he'd called in sick. And once again, I missed the exam. So I went home when I got off at 3 o'clock after I worked at double shift at 3 p.m. that afternoon. I was mad and I was frustrated and I was exhausted. There was no way I could work. There was no way I could continue to go to school. I knew I'd get an F in a 4-hour class. There's no way I could make that up. There's no way I could work and go after my dreams. I had a family to support. And quitting work was not an option. I collapsed on my bed and fell asleep. 10 minutes later, the phone rang. It was Dr. Yerrick's secretary. She told me that Dr. Yerrick was wondering why I'd missed another test, why I'd missed the final exam. And I was tired, and I was angry, and I kind of went off on her. I explained the situation to her. I told her, just tell him to give me my F, because I wasn't coming back. I had enough. I was done. I climbed back in the bed and went to sleep again, and I was wakened once more about 15 minutes later by the phone ringing. I stumbled to the phone and I barked, hello. And it was Dr. Yerrick himself. Keith, I don't understand why you missed class again. I said, Dr. Yerrick, we're all shorthanded at work. I was forced to work overtime. I'm tired and I'm exhausted and I can't afford to quit my job. And I said that one sentence that I'll never forget in my life. I'm never coming back to school. I quit, I'm done, and I'm finished. You see, there was a silence on the other end of the phone. You could actually hear it. Listen. And then he said it. He said it in his quiet, gentle voice. He said, we had 4 tests. You made an A on the first 2. I feel that you would have made an A on the second 2, the last 2, if you just had the time to take them. I'm going to give you an A for the semester because I think you earned it. I was stunned. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to respond. And then he said a sentence that's been in my mind for 40 plus years. He said, Keith, I believe in you. I believe in you. You see, my work situation straightened out the next semester, and I went back to school, but because a teacher believed in me, I finished my degree. Because a teacher believed in me, I went on to law school. Because a teacher believed in me, I went on to seminary. Because a teacher believed in me, I became an attorney and a judge. Because a teacher believed in me, I became a priest. I was able to support my family in ways I never, ever believed that I could. Because a teacher believed in me, I became a teacher. Because a teacher believed in me, I believe in my students. And I'm so blessed every day when I get to see those kids' eyes when they really understand how much God loves them. Years later, I went back to Lamar. Dr. Evans, don't change my grade now, okay? I went back to Lamar and I found Dr. Garrett. He was still here. And I went up to him and I told him how much he meant to me and how he unknowingly changed my life. And I'm so glad I did that because that fine man passed away from cancer the next year. So likewise tonight, the Beaumont Foundation has sought out each one of you to tell you how much you mean to us, to the children that you teach, and how you change the lives of your students. See, because of you, a child will receive the love and attention that he may never get from anyone else. And because of you, she'll get the educational foundation that she needs to become a success in life. And because of you, he'll be inspired to live out his dreams and become the person that God meant him to be. Because of you, some will become doctors that will save lives. Because of you, some will become lawyers that will fight for justice. And because of you, some will become pastors and priests who preach the love of God Almighty. And because of you, some will become a teacher. And they'll believe in their students the way that you believed in them. Your work, your passion, your love will live in the hearts of these children, and we will be passed on from generation to generation. And tonight we recognize and pay tribute to you because we believe in you. May God bless each and every one of you.
Thank you very much, Judge Giblin. Very inspirational. Thank you, Judge. That was a great gift to all of you educators. In fact, we're going to dispense with the rest of it because this is wonderful. I mean, this is all we need. No, we're going to do it anyway since it's all here. I want to recognize some other very valuable people who make the Beaumont Foundation so special, along with President Frank Newton. Ed Keller, Chief Operating Officer. Ed and I worked together, a former FBI agent, and we had some wonderful cases when I was in the U.S. Attorney's Office that Ed worked up. Robert Kraft is their fine lawyer, general counsel. Carol Edens, Director of Grants, and Hannah Ward, Executive Administration Assistant. The Beaumont Foundation works just so smoothly because of the great personnel they have there. And congratulations for all the work you do. And now, I ask Chairman Wayne Reaud and Ed Keller, please come forward and join me for the presentation of this year's awards. This is pretty neat. I'm very excited. Will the 5 elementary teachers please make your way up to my right? Thank you. This is the awkward point. I've never really been undecisive, but now I'm not sure. Ready? All right, Rochelle Lynn Celeste, you are first. Rochelle is the 4th grade reading teacher at Sally Curtis Elementary in Beaumont. She has taught for 30 years. She has a bachelor's degree in elementary education from Lamar University, Dr. Evans, and a master's degree in reading specialist from Lamar. Rochelle hopes to ignite a fire for learning and inspire every student to be a lifelong learner. Rochelle Lynn Celeste, our first awardee. And then if you will make your way to my left, and Mr. Kraft will show you what to do next. Thank you. Next is Cindy Durden. This kindergarten teacher, I married a kindergarten teacher, at Highland Park Elementary School in Nederland, has 20 years teaching experience. Cindy holds a bachelor's in accounting from the University of Houston, my alma mater in law school. Cindy believes a learning environment that promotes a love for learning and a love for one another is one in which students blossom. Our second awardee, Cindy Durden. I wanted to ask you, since you're a kindergarten teacher, if you choke a Smurf, what color does he turn? It's another thing that the lawyers were asking. Some of the judges were talking about that one during the meal. Next is Robin Glosson. Robin is a teacher at Warren Elementary School. She teaches 2nd grade and has 24 years teaching experience. And she has earned her bachelor's degree in elementary education from, that's right, Lamar University. Robin's end goal is to create lifelong learners that will one day work and serve well in their community. Congratulations, Robin Glosson. Next is Brenda Jones. 4th grade math, science, and social studies teacher Brenda Jones teaches at Little Cypress Intermediate School. She has 12 years teaching experience. She received her bachelor's degree in interdisciplinary studies from Texas State University. She says her students know that she has high expectations for them, and they in return meet those expectations by working so hard. Congratulations, Brenda Jones. Rachel McLean is our next awardee. Silsbee's John H. Kirby Elementary School kindergarten teacher Rachel McLean has 26 years teaching. You don't even look 26 years old. Experience. She has a bachelor's degree in elementary kindergarten education from Louisiana College and a master's in curriculum and instruction from Louisiana Tech University. Thank you for making your way to Texas. And she believes that teaching can only be effective in a classroom atmosphere that is nurturing, authentic, and safe. Rachel McLean, congratulations to you. Next, our intermediate teacher awardees. Please come forward to my right. Lynette Causey will be first. Lynette is an 8th grade pre-algebra and Algebra 1 teacher. She has 34 years in the classroom. She teaches at Kirbyville Junior High. She holds a bachelor's degree from Lamar University in elementary education with a math specialization. Lynette Causey believes it's her job to inspire, motivate, and create an atmosphere for each student to reach their highest potential. Congratulations, Lynette Causey. Hedgie Coulter. Come on down. Orangeville Junior High School language arts teacher. Hedgie Coulter has 22 years teaching experience. She received a bachelor's degree from Stephen F. Austin State University in interdisciplinary studies. Hedgie is determined to establish a positive relationship with each of her students, and she tries to instill confidence in every one of her students. Congratulations and good luck to you. Hedgie Coulter. Talking to Hedgie earlier, she's a language arts teacher. I asked her, what rhymes with orange? She says purple. The two words that have no rhyming. Smart lady. Barbara Henry is a 6th through 8th grade reading teacher from Willie Ray Smith Senior Middle School. She earned her bachelor's in secondary reading and her master's degree in teaching leadership from our Lamar University. Barbara has 16 years teaching experience, and Barbara believes an effective teacher is constantly motivating students to learn by demonstrating enthusiasm for the subject area being taught. Congratulations to you, Barbara Henry. And Kathy Hollier. I know Kathy, being a Groves boy. Lamar graduate Kathy Hollier is the choir director at Groves Middle School. That was my middle school. She has 24 years teaching experience to her credit. Kathy's goal is to enrich students' lives with the transformative power of music. She believes all children should be given a second chance to experience the joy of music. And she did say, John, don't quit your first job. Congratulations, Kathy. Next is Leslie Snyder. Leslie teaches, big fans, teaches 7th and 8th grade math and engineering robotics. A Sam Houston State University graduate with degrees in elementary education and mathematics, Leslie has 26 years teaching experience. Leslie sets out to create a healthy, positive environment where students are able to open themselves up to new ideas and good work for you. Congratulations, Leslie Snyder. High school teachers and awardees, please come forward. And Leslie, being of course a math, engineering, and robotics teacher, wanted to announce for everyone that the seminar she's holding on time travel will be held last week. Bob Wortham is heckling me. Yeah, I thought you would have learned something from this man's grades. Bob Wortham brags. He said, I had a 4.0 in college. I said, hey, blood alcohol test doesn't count.
That was a good one.
Yeah, make fun of the guy who can indict you. Yeah, that's... Our first awardee for the high school teachers, Kathy Dorman. Kathy is a Spanish and English as a second language teacher at Bridge City High School. She earned her bachelor's degree in English with a minor in Spanish from Lamar University. She has 26 years classroom experience. Her desire is not only to teach her students, but also to instill in them a love for learning so that they would become lifetime learners. Congratulations, Kathy Dorner. Muy bonito. Stacy Hansard is our next awardee. And Stacy teaches special education at Westbrook High School. She's taught for 14 years. Stacy has a bachelor's degree from Texas A&M in interdisciplinary studies and a master's degree from Lamar University in education administration. Stacy teaches to the needs of each child so that all learners can feel capable and successful. Stacy Hansard, congratulations to her. Jim said, I've been in, that's Jim Hansard, Stacy's father, accepting on Stacy's behalf, who was unable to be here tonight. And he says, you know me, I've been in your courtroom. And I asked him as a defendant, he goes, no, as a juror. Charlene Cruz Korchuk. Charlene has 52 years of teaching experience. These are all special people, but please listen very carefully. She teaches family and consumer science at Deweyville High School. She is also the district cafeteria manager. Charlene earned a bachelor's degree from Stephen F. Austin State University in vocational home economics and a master's degree from McNeese State University in elementary education. She tries to create a student-friendly environment. She wants them to feel safe, express their concerns, and feel like someone is listening. Charlene, though, you have taught them well, and they are listening. Because they've told us that you get up at 5:30 each morning and teach junior high and high school. You sew the pants for the baseball and football players. And you do that in spite of the fact that you were a flood victim and lost everything in the recent flood. But your priorities are there. God has found favor with you, Shirley. I'm sure the pastor will tell you that, because the lives you have touched, no flood can erase that. And Charlene Cruz Horchuk, congratulations for being such a wonderful leader. She was on the Cowboy John Black Bart show. Michael Perryman is our next awardee. He teaches English AP and creative writing and poetry at Nederland High School. Michael has 38 years of a teaching experience. This Lamar graduate has a bachelor's in government and English and a master's in guidance and counseling. Michael says the surest way to opening students' minds is through capturing their hearts and then stimulating their love of learning. Every student is worthy and capable of success. Keep up the wonderful work you do. Michael Perryman, congratulations. And last but not at all the least, Holly Bertrand Woolen. Lumberton High School AP English teacher Holly Woolen earned her bachelor's degree in English from Lamar University. She's been teaching for 18 years. Holly strives to make every lesson worthy of students' time by pointing out those relevant modern connections that can be made. She says, I find that when students see me caring about their interests, they are eager to invest in class. Keep up the wonderful work you do. Holly Bertrand Woolen, our final awardee. And our chairman of the board, Wayne wants to make some very special announcements and an address to all of us here. Thank you. Congratulations. What a great night.
There's an old story about a fellow that dies and goes to heaven. The first week he's there, he's told by St. Peter that on the next Wednesday, all the new admittees into heaven have to make a speech about the most important event in their lives. And this guy says, well, I got killed in the Jonestown flood. I think I'll speak on that. And St. Peter said, that's great. You're going to speak right after a guy by the name of Noah who's going to talk about his flood. I feel like after listening to Judge Giblin's speech tonight, which was inspirational, there's not much I want to say following him. It was wonderful. And I want you to know this is the 8th year, and you better exemplify tonight what we're trying to do here and what we're all about than anyone that's ever spoken before. And frankly, we've had some pretty high-powered talent here, but none of them were better than you. Thank you. Thank you. As I listened to you talk about your background, I thought, golly, we sort of grew up alike. I came from a working class family and worked in the refinery. And when you said you worked at the Goodyear plant out on I-10, I thought, well, I did too, from 1968 to 1969. I worked there from Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on a maintenance crew and worked my way through school. So I'm listening to you, and I said, God, we got a lot in common I didn't know about until you told me you made an A in chemistry. And right away, I knew that I never made better than a C in chemistry. It's the only C I made in high school, and I stayed away from it in college. So when I look at your grade there and the fact that you majored in physics, I know you're one smart guy, as well as a great speaker. Thank you all for being here. This started because very much like Judge Giblin, I had a handful of teachers that changed my life. And every year I like to sort of honor those teachers by remembering them. I had a first grade teacher by the name of Mrs. Webb, who was wonderful, who died in her 30s of some kind of cancer. But she was a wonderful teacher for a 6-year-old. I had a 4th grade teacher by the name of Mrs. Ellis, who taught me to spell and taught me I before E except after C and taught me phonics. And I was a great speller all of my life because of what that lady taught me in the 4th grade. In the 8th grade, I had a history teacher by the name of Vivian Liddell, who just died a few years ago, and she was spectacular. She instilled in me a desire to get an education more than any other teacher. In high school, I had an English teacher by the name of Mrs. Frizzell, who taught me how to write well enough to go to law school. And just that handful, what is it, 5 teachers, they changed my life. They made me a better student. They made me a better person. They gave me insight into life that I probably wouldn't have gotten anyplace else. My mother passed away 3 years ago. She lived to be 89. And as I was preparing remarks for her funeral, and I started thinking back over the influences she had on my life, I realized my mother was my greatest teacher. She taught me all the values that I possess today that are good. Teachers are important. You all can make a huge difference. The judge and I are 2 people. They're probably everybody in this room. But we're 2 people who benefited and were changed by what you all do. Thank you very much, and thank you for being here tonight.
Beaumont Foundation. And before we leave, let me leave you with these words as we end tonight. This is an election year, and there was, in the past, there have been some wonderful speeches by our presidents. Maybe the greatest was the inauguration speech of John F. Kennedy. Most people think that speech ends with, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. But it doesn't. There's another paragraph after that. And Reverend White, with your permission, that paragraph ends his speech as a prayer. And it's for all of us, educators, and all of us here in this room. It ends with history as our judge and a clear conscience as our only sure reward. Let us go forth to lead this land we love, asking for his guidance and his blessing, and always remembering that here on earth, God's work is truly by and through each of us. May God continue to bless the Beaumont Foundation, Southeast Texas, and the awardees tonight. Thank you very much, and good night.